Hi everybody, it's Allie, and I'm coming to you today with a very heavy heart after learning of the passing of Jeanne Cooper. She died on Wednesday, May 8th, at the age of 84. Now, I didn't know Jeanne personally. As a 20-year fan of The Young and the Restless, I only know her as Katherine Chancellor, and it's so hard to believe that we're never going to hear her say, "Oh, Jill, for heaven's sake," ever again. Or, "Nikki, darling." She seemed like a woman who still probably had a million things that she wanted to do, and it's really hard to believe that that has been extinguished. But I also know that Jeanne Cooper was much more than an actress. She was much more than her body of work. I think that was just a part of her life. This is a woman who was somebody's daughter, somebody's mother, grandmother. She was a friend. She was a colleague to many. And I can only speak as a fan of her work. But I'd just like to take a few minutes today to discuss how her life's work as Katherine Chancellor has impacted me. And I certainly invite you all to do the same. This is a big deal. And I know that everyone's going to have a lot of feelings about it, and I want there to be a place for you guys to feel free to talk and vent. I mean, I know there are a ton of people who have been watching the show way longer than I have. I was only 13 years old in 1993 when I started watching YNR. So I grew up knowing Katherine Chancellor. There was never a time that I was watching the show that she wasn't on it. And she always stood out to me as the matriarch of Genoa City, the Duchess. And I know that in her beginning years on the show in the 70s and 80s, she played a much different character than she turned out to be in more recent years. I think through the early times, she was just a miserable, alcoholic, sad, mean woman in many ways. And when I picked up the show, it was a little bit different. I mean, the character's been through so many ups and downs and phases, but as I have known her, Katherine was really the character who brought the heart and the wisdom to the show. She had that peace. It's so hard to believe that that's gone now. I mean, anytime someone had a problem, Katherine was the one there to give advice. She had become the sage of Genoa City, or even when someone needed to hear a difficult truth, Katherine was there to say it without a sugar coat. And whenever someone needed to be smashed over the head with a vase, Katherine was there to put the smack down. Oh, she was smart, and she was funny, and she was completely original, and she was deep and complex and layered and brutally honest. I mean, who else in Genoa City could tell Victor Newman that he was being an ass and then turn around and get a hug afterwards? No one. Now, I've been doing this YNR chat for 5 years, this month actually. So, I mean, I've got 350 videos on YouTube. I've done a podcast for the last about 2 years. And so I've talked so many different ways about Y&R, and I've mentioned many times in the past what my favorite Katherine Chancellor scenes are. And for me, the best Katherine Chancellor were the times when Katherine talked to God. There was something so wonderful about it. It happened maybe 1 to 2 times per year when someone was in the hospital, in a coma. And Katherine would just go into the hospital chapel or even just sit in her living room chair, and she would just look up and she would just say out loud, "Now you listen here, God. If you think you're just going to take this poor soul, you're going to have to go through me to do it." And there's something so just indomitable about her, that she was a force to be reckoned with, but knowing almost that I think that Katherine spent her life living as a goddess, but in those moments it was apparent that she was a mere mortal. And for some reason those scenes always held weight with me. It was deep, but it also had it was a little funny to me too. So I love that about Katherine's character, and even though I don't know Jeanne Cooper, I like to imagine that she has that same kind of bravado in real life, which is why I think, Jeanne isn't really gone from us at all. She's just gone upstairs to be the CEO of Heaven Industries now. I mean, I'm sure there are countless fan memorials all over the web now for this incredible woman, and she deserves every single one of them. But for my part, I just wanted to pop on here and say a few words, let you know what I'm feeling, because it is momentous. It is not some small thing, and I know that you guys have feelings and that you need a place to put them. So I would love it if you guys would go ahead and say a few words of your own. You can feel free to leave your thoughts, your comments, your sympathies, tributes. If you have a favorite Katherine memory or scene, I would love to hear that. If anybody has met Jeanne in person, any of the fans at any of the various events, I would love to hear your anecdotes about that. Anything that your heart desires, please feel free to leave me a comment. I would love to hear it. Y&R will never be the same. It will never be the same now. But we can keep the memory of Jeanne Cooper and Katherine Chancellor alive. We can. So my deepest condolences go out to Jeanne Cooper's family and friends and the fans. We've lost something too, and I just want to say again that she will never be forgotten.